Either you've just got to totally worship WikiLeaks, or you've got to say execute Assange, you know, just ban all free speech. Those are the two camps the mainstream media gives you. No, we look at the facts. Cass Sunstein behind the announcement of it, involved with it 3 years ago, Washington Post op-ed. The Chinese dissidents, and I'm not for the communist Chinese, but the fact is that these dissidents are known CIA and CIA operatives on record. They're the core of WikiLeaks. Assange is the young playboy they put up there as the front man. He was busted a decade ago for hacking, admits he was brought into some national security jobs at that point. You've got all these connections there. I don't think Assange is a bad guy. They put false charges on him that they know are going to fall apart. You know, oh, molestation, rape, then it turns out not wearing a condom, and consensual sex. It's all designed to make him the hero. And I don't know if he consciously knows that. Time will tell. But the bottom line, I told you a year ago, 6 months ago, a month ago, last week, and all of my expert guests who really got a track record of being accurate agreed and concurred. And notice all these foreign governments, the Iranians, the Pakistanis, many others, they all say this is staged. You know, this stuff has been redacted. He's cut stuff out. It basically, oh, bin Laden's still alive. Oh, they've got nukes. Oh, there were WMDs. It just promotes all the old propaganda. Just because a document's secret doesn't mean it's real. Some of the most brainwashed groups in the world are inside government. But I told you regardless. I said it forces you to side with Assange. It forces you to say, regardless of who he is, we've got to get him out of jail. We've got to stop this. We can't go along with Bill O'Reilly saying execute people like Assange because it's designed to take all of our free speech. Now, they've got 3 pieces of legislation: cybersecurity, open government kill switch, surveillance grid, control over all ISPs, packet scanning, just total big brother. It's already in place, but they want to grow it and again, have it come out in the open, which they're now doing. You notice they're like, yeah, we read all your mail. Yeah, we're scanning what you buy and what you do. It's all illegal, but we do it for your own good. Now they're introducing at the international and national level life in prison if you bring out a leak. So they would say, well, Alex Jones got that MIAC Homeland Security report from law enforcement. We're going to put those cops, a federal marshal and a state police officer, we're going to put them in prison. See, it's meant to be a chilling effect. And of course, politically, they couldn't get away with that. So they picked somebody who's a foreigner, who's a playboy, who most people look at and go, man, that guy's kind of creepy. It's all typecast just for us. And here it is. The UN announces global policing, internet IDs, internet taxes. This is what they want. It's what they've always wanted. So here it is. You think the globalists going into this consolidation phase want the internet to be open and free like it is, with the alternative media now becoming the media? That Rubicon got crossed, 2 years ago? So here's the headline at Infowars.com. And it's also up on Drudge if you want to find it the easiest. It's top story. UN plans internet regulation. So does the United States. So does Italy. So does France. So does Australia. And it just goes over the entire thing, and we're going to be talking more about that. But as Ron Paul said, is the truth treason? And again, Paul's smart. He just addresses it as, well, these are the supposed documents. Is it treason to release the truth? But it's not even the truth. It's lies within lies within lies. But Paul knows you've got to come out and defeat this, or they're going to come in and shut down the free speech. Freed and defiant, Assange says sex charges, tabloid is garbage. Again, freed and defiant, Assange says sex charges, tabloid is garbage. I kind of had a Freudian slip there. To me, Assange looks like a woman. I'm sorry, I'm being mean now. Freed and defiant, that's the joke around the office, actually. Isn't that you, Jaron, that floated that a few months ago, that Assange looks like he's a woman masquerading as a man? Kind of like, I'm having one of those Alzheimer moments. Who was the French lady? Joan of Arc. Yes, he's a Joan of Arc. All right, I'm going to stop it. Freed and defiant, Assange says sex charges, tabloid, garbage. He actually said tabloid crap, but we try to be super family here, but we got to report the news. WikiLeaks founder denies rape charge, said he never knew Bradley Manning. Well, of course Bradley Manning couldn't get all these 25,000 State Department cables going back to 1985. You think the military has that stuff? Give me a break. That some private can get all in one stop. Meanwhile, Washington subway police to begin random bag checks. See, the police state unfolds. That's martial law. England's proposing banning all protest, period. DHS implementing no work list. Citizens must get government approval to work in private sector jobs. Bombshell article. Need to get this out to everybody at Infowars.com. Kurt Nemo. TSA lies again over captured storing of body scanner images. Spokesman says Baywatch star's image will not leak because it's impossible, because they don't transmit them. So they've been caught storing those images. Yet again, we've got the links to the mainstream news where that's confirmed. 10,000 child porn images found on ex-TSA workers' computer. It just continues. I mean, who do you think likes doing this stuff? Half of them are just people that don't want to work at the post office or whatever. But the other half are a mix of control freaks, people on power trips, and pervs. TSA under fire after businessman boards international flight with loaded gun. See, the answer is, we got to have more security. No, ladies and gentlemen, no one is ever going to be perfectly safe. If a government says we're going to put something in position where you're completely safe, A, it's impossible. B, that's called total tyranny, and that's always statistically the greatest danger. You should be afraid of big government, not phantom boogeymen wearing turbans. Okay, I'm going to get more into this with Bob Chapman because I know he is a deep thinker and shares a lot of my views coming up in the third hour today, but I want to bounce it off of him and get his take on it because it's so sophisticated. We've only got 5 minutes left in this segment. I promise I will cover it more coming up in the third hour. But if you guys give me a document cam shot or put it on screen, I'll show people who are not just listening on the radio but watching us live right now at prisonplanet.tv. This is out of the National Post, big paper up in Canada. And it goes on, Christopher Hitchens' latest Nixon tape buries Kissinger's reputation. The immigration of Jews from the Soviet Union is not an obligation of the American foreign policy. And if they put Jews into gas chambers in the Soviet Union, it is not of America's concern, Henry Kissinger. And he goes through all of this information. Now, again, I'm going to cover this more coming up, but here is the Jewish Journal headline, gassing Jews would not be a U.S. problem, Kissinger. The tapes chronicle President Nixon's obsessions with disparaging Jews and other minorities. Continuing with that information, there's a good article by Henry McCall. Henry Kissinger was a Soviet agent, and that's now been coming out in these documents. I remember Bob Chapman telling me that 10 years ago. Here's Jewish Ideas Daily. Christopher Hitchens' Jewish problem. They attack him for attacking Kissinger. And this is what I've noticed. If you're Arnold Schwarzenegger and tell Rolling Stone magazine in 1977 you admire Hitler and want to be a dictator, and that he would hand out Adolf Hitler recordings on records and reportedly dress up in a Nazi uniform and call blacks subhuman and intimidate them inside the gym, you get ADL awards. If you are not anti-Semitic but anti-globalist, you will be called an anti-Semite. And it's simple. The ADL is a bucket of black paint to basically take post-World War II anti-German rhetoric and put it on the American people. You just take the Nazis and you say, oh, you want freedom? You don't want open borders? You don't want government-run health care? You're a racist. You're a Nazi. Meanwhile, Hal Turner, who I told you almost a decade ago was a Fed, now confirmed highest level national security, attack yours truly every single week, some cases daily. It's come out it came out just last year in the Florida papers about the big Nazi rallies they were having going through towns all over. Those were entirely cops. There was no Nazis in the group. It's a way to make any type of political discussion look crazy. Just like the government got caught creating the Viper militia with a bunch of meth head drug dealers to then say militias are meth head drug dealers. It's just like they go out and find these patsy, young prison converts to Islam who are Hispanic, black, white. They're always super poor, super, low IQ. And the feds lead them as their imams to go blow stuff up. They're not infiltrating groups that are already going to do it. They're going out and creating them. So I want to explain this. And now it's gotten so blatant, so brazen, so naked, so out in the open, so uncloaked that no one is buying it anymore. I mean, the ADL's lost its power now. They're out of gas because when they come out and say, you know, Glenn Beck's criticizing George Soros, oh, he's bad, people are like, what? What is it? You know, George Soros admits he worked for the Nazis. That's not debatable. Going around robbing, you know, taking stuff from other Jews. And that's this type of attitude that I've seen. You see, it's very sophisticated, and I'm about to go to break, but I'm going to get more into this later in the third hour today. But I remember reading a book many years, about 12 years ago or so, The Distant Mirror, going back to medieval times and how all this got set up and operates, and when the royals started using Jews to be their treasurers, because then they could rob them whenever they wanted to. They didn't want the general public to be allowed to engage in banking, but if they used an unpopular minority, it would give them great power, but then they could also rob them. I mean, this actually gets into real history. I'm somebody who actually has read hundreds of real history books, you know, the true history of it. But I'll leave you with this before I really get into the big secret the globalists don't want you to know. Why do you think, this is on Israeli television, this is not denied, in the U.S. it's almost unknown, it's in my film Endgame, that 110,000 Jewish children were radiated, many of them to death. It's called the ringworm children. They'd say, you're going to get a dental appointment and you're going to have, you're going to be fungused. That's what ringworm is. And they would hit them with radiation. Now the U.S. government paid from 1951 to 1961 to irradiate 110,000 Jewish children. By the way, they were the dark-skinned Sephardic out of North Africa and the Romano types out of Spain. And this is a fact. And they took those little kids and they murdered them, many of them. Others they just fried. Of course, our own government did it to foster children in the U.S. But the issue here is, where's the ADL on that? See, this is the big secret. This is the big secret. You're gonna get it. They're not gonna like it. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Got Aaron coming in here about this Decoded show. All right, Governor Jesse Ventura is coming up with us for a full hour at the very start of the next hour. So let's go ahead and call him at 58 after. He expects to be up right at the start for a full hour. Aaron, you traveled with me a month and a half ago to California, or I guess 2 months ago now. We're not supposed to get into what happened because it's coming out on television. But, you know, I'm able to cover some of it. You know, it's weird when you work with TV, you know, you have to sign something agreeing to, but then I wouldn't sign it. I said, well, I'll be able to talk about some of it. But the point is, I'm not going to get into all of it, even though I can in the interest of the show, but we're lucky we got out of there. It will be very exciting if it actually goes on air. I'm just going to leave it at that. But you did see Brad Metzler's Decoded, season 1, episode 3. I was wrong when I said it was their first episode. It's the first one I've heard about. And break it down, your view of the show.
Yeah, it's the first episode I've seen also, and the exciting, incredible part is that all these so-called conspiracy researchers who've been yourself and others, Mark Dice and Stan Monteith were in this episode, are all getting airtime, but it just simply doesn't seem as hard-hitting as conspiracy theory has been up till now.